Alright. Time to play this thing. Okay. Start options, quit. Options. Well, we don't want to disable that, do we? Skip unread text. It's all going to be unread. Keep skipping after choices. I don't know what that means. I'm assuming these are all human usable speeds. Music, turn down a little bit. It's a bit too loud, to be honest. Language selection. Not Japanese. The whole game isn't 4x3, is it? Right? The whole game's not like this, right? Okay. I hope not. It better not be. That's just poor. Let's go. A light breeze causes the naked branches overhead to rattle like wooden wind chimes. Harry, you want me to read this out, like this stuff as well, not just the dialogue, I'm guessing? This is a popular retreat for couples in the summer. Fuck. It's gonna come to a word I can't pronounce, then you're gonna make fun of me. Deciduous? Whatever. Trees provide a beautiful green canopy, far out of sight of teachers and fellow students. But now, in late winter, it feels like I'm standing under a pile of kindling. I literally don't know what I just read, by the way. I've just been reading, I haven't been understanding it. That's the problem with reading stuff out loud. I don't know what's happening. I breathe into my cupped hands and rub them together furiously to prevent them from numbing in this cold. Hisao. Just how long am I expected to wait out here anyway? I'm sure the note said 4 p.m. Ah yes, the note slipped between the pages of my math book while I wasn't looking. As far as cliches go, I'm more of a fan of the letter in the locker, but at least this way shows a bit of initiative. As I ponder the meaning of my life... As I ponder the meaning of the note, the snowfall gradually thickens. The snowflakes silently falling from the white-painted sky are the only sign of time passing in this stagnant world. It's like J.R. Tolkien wrote this fucking thing. Fucking Tolkien knows how to build a world, but he's one of the worst writers ever, and it's because of shit like this. It's endless descriptions of fucking trees and fields. And snowflakes, their slow descent upon the frozen forest makes it seem like time has slowed to a crawl. I'll tell you what else makes it seem like time has slowed to a crawl. It starts with K and ends in Katawa Shoujo. Was that meant to be a sound effect? The rustling of dry snow underfoot startles me, interrupting the quiet mood. Someone is approaching me from behind. Oh, look, it's question mark, my favorite person. Hi, Hisao, you came? A hesitating, barely audible question. However, I recognize the owner of that dainty voice instantly. I feel my heart skip a beat. It's a voice I've listened to hundreds of times, but never as more than an eavesdropper to a conversation. I turn to face this voice, the voice of my dreams. My heart begins to race. Now, I might press spacebar here. It had better be a really, really ugly girl. Iwanako? She wants to wank me. I got it. I got a note telling me to wait here. It was yours? Damn it, I spent all afternoon trying to come up with a good line, and that was the result. No wonder you like this, Harry. This guy's you. Pathetic. Yeah, you got that right. Yes, I asked a friend to give you that note. I'm so glad you got it. I'm not doing voices, by the way. A shy, joyous smile that makes me so tense I couldn't move a single muscle even if I tried. As per the sound effect, my heart is pounding now, as if it were trying to burst from my chest and claim this girl for myself. This first hour was going to be really hard, because I literally can't read out loud and understand it and comprehend it at the same time. I don't quite know what is happening, other than he's nervous. So, here we are, out in the cold. Great pickup line, Hisao. Once again, the wind stirs up the branches. I wish the wind would stir up her skirt. The cacophonous noise is music to my ears. I want to wank you flinches ever so softly against the gust of wind. As it passes, she rights herself, as if supported by some new confidence. What does that even mean? Her eyes lock with mine and she lazily twirls her long dark hair around her finger. All the while, the anxious beating of my heart grows louder. My throat is tight. I doubt I could ever force a word out if I tried. Just talk. You see, Awanko says. I wanted to know if you'd go out with me. I stand there, motionless, save for my pounding heart. I want to say something in reply, but my vocal cords feel like they've been stretched beyond the breaking point, like too little butter spread over too much bread. Hisao? I reach up to try to massage my throat, but this only sends spikes of blinding pain along my arms. Hisao! My whole body freezes, save for my eyes, which shoot open in terror. Hisao! Exclamation mark. The beating in my chest suddenly stops, and I go weak at the knees. Oh, please tell me he dies. And then there's credits, and that's it! The world around me, the canopy of bare branches, the dull winter sky. I want to wank you running towards me. All these fade to black. The last things I remember before slipping away are the sounds of I want to wank you screaming for help, and the incessant clatter of the branches above. Directed by George Lucas. Credit sequence at the beginning. Is now the right time to let you know that hospitals and disabled people scare me? I think now's the most appropriate time. This is very unsettling. And it's still not 16 by 9. You know, it'd be awesome if he wakes up from his heart attack or whatever, and everything is in 16 by 9. Or you go through the whole game in 4 by 3, and then he finally meets the girl of his dreams or whatever, and then it's in 16 by 9. It's been 4 months since my heart attack. In that whole time, I can probably count the times I've left this hospital room unsupervised on one hand. That means 5 times. 4 months is a pretty long time when you're left alone with your thoughts, so I've had plenty of time to come to terms with my situation, but apparently not enough time for the leaves to stop blowing in the background, like it was in the first scene. Arrhythmia, a strange word, a foreign alien one that you don't want to be in the same room with. A rare condition, it causes the heart to act erratically and occasionally beat way too fast. It can be fatal. Apparently I've had it for a long time. They said it was a miracle that I was able to go on so long without anything happening. Is that really a miracle? I guess it was supposed to make me feel better, more appreciative of my life. Wink, Harry. It really didn't do anything to cheer me up. Yep. My parents, I think, were hit harder by the news than I was. They practically had 2 hemorrhages apiece. I already had a full day by then to digest everything. To them, it was all fresh. They were even willing to sell our house in order to pay for a cure. Of course, there isn't a cure. Because of the late discovery of this condition, I've had to stay at the hospital to recuperate from the treatments. When I was first admitted, it felt as if I was missed. For about a week, my room in the ward was full of flowers, balloons, and cards. But the visitors soon dwindled, and all the get-well gifts began trickling down to nothing shortly after. I realized that the only reason I'd gotten so many cards and flowers was because sending me their sympathy had been turned into a class project. Maybe some people were genuinely concerned, but I doubt it. Even in the beginning, I barely had visitors. By the end of the first month, only my parents came by on a regular basis. I Want to Wank You was the last to stop visiting. After 6 weeks, I never saw her again. We never did wank each other, and we never had that much to talk about when she visited anyway. We didn't touch the subject that was between us on the snowy day ever again. The hospital? It's not really a place I'd like to live in. The doctors and nurses feel so impersonal and faceless. Guess it's because they're in a hurry and they have a million other patients waiting for them, but it makes me feel uncomfortable. For the first month or so, I asked the head cardiologist every time I saw him for a rough estimate of when I'd be able to leave. He never answered anything in a straightforward way, but told me to wait and see if the treatment and surgeries worked. So I idly observed the scar that those surgeries had left on my chest slowly change its appearance over time, thinking of it as some kind of an omen. I still ask the head cardiologist about leaving, but my expectations are low enough now that I'm not disappointed anymore when I don't get a reply. The way he shuffles around the answer shows there's at least some hope. At some point, I stopped watching TV. I don't know why. I just did. Maybe it was the wrong kind of escapism for my situation. I started reading instead. There was a small library at the hospital that was more like a storeroom for books. I began working my way through it, one small stack at a time. After consuming them, I'd go back for more. I found that I liked... there's so much reading in this visual novel that has words in it. I found that I liked reading, and I think I even became a bit addicted. I started feeling naked without a book in my hands. But I loved the stories. That was what my life was like. The days became increasingly harder to distinguish from each other, differing only by the book I was reading and the weather outside. It felt like time blurred into some kind of gooey mass I was trapped inside, instead of moving within. You've expressed that before, Hisao. I feel your pain. A week could go by without me really noticing it. Sometimes I'd pause in realization that I didn't know what day of the week it was. But other times, all the things that surrounded me would painfully crash in my consciousness through the barrier of nonchalance I'd set up for myself. The pages of my book would start to feel sharp and burning hot. That's not normal. And the heaviness in my chest would become so hard to bear that I had to put the book aside and just lay down for a while, looking at the ceiling as if I was going to cry. But that happened only rarely. I'm going to need a drink. Ugh. Keep going with this shit. And I couldn't even cry. Okay. Today the doctor comes in and gives me a smile. He seems excited, but not very. It's like he's trying to make an effort to be happy on my behalf. My parents are here. It's been a few days since I've last seen them. Both of them are even sort of dressed up. Is this supposed to be some kind of special occasion? It's not a party. Oh, you are so dying. You are dying, Hisao! They're there for your funeral! There's this ritual the head cardiologist has. He takes his time sorting his papers, then setting them aside as if to make a point of the pointlessness of what he just did. Then he casually sits down on the edge of the bed next to mine. He looks me in the eye for a moment. Hello, Hisao. How are you today? I don't answer him, but I smile back. I smile a little, back at him. I believe that you can go home. Your heart is stronger now. With some precautions, you should be fine. We have all your medications sorted out. I'll give your father the prescription. Doctor hands a sheet of paper to my dad, whose expression turns wooden as he reads it quickly. So many. I take it from his hand and take a look myself, feeling numb. How am I supposed to react to this? This whole thing has been... How long has it been going? 15 minutes? 10 minutes? Something like that? This whole thing could have been done in a paragraph. Stop being so verbose. The absurdly long list of medications staring back at me from the paper seems insurmountable. They all blend together in a sea of letters. It was at this point I realized I was dyslexic. This is insane. Side effects, adverse effects, contraindications, and dosages are listed line after line with cold precision. Try to read them, but it's so futile. I can't understand any of it. Attempting to only makes me feel sicker. Which is not a word. More sick. All this for the rest of my life, every day. I'm afraid that's the best we can do at this point. However, new medications are always being developed, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see that list fade over the years. Years? What kind of confidence booster is that? I'd have felt better if he hadn't said anything at all. Also, I've spoken with your parents, and we believe it would be best if you don't return to your old school. Here's this school we recommend going to, filled with hot chicks. But careful, they don't have any arms. What? Please, calm down, Hisao. Listen to what the doctor has to say. Calm down, the only way he tells... Whatever of my concern shows. It's ignored. We all understand that your education is paramount. However, I don't think that it's wise for you to be without supervision. At least not until we're sure that your medication is suitable. So, I've spoken to your parents about a transfer. It's a school called Yamaku Academy that specializes in dealing with disabled students. Disabled? What? Am I... It has 24-hour nursing staff, and it's only a few minutes from a highly regarded general hospital. The majority of students live on the campus. Think of it as a boarding school for retards. It's designed to give students a degree of independence, while keeping help nearby. Independence? It's a school for disabled kids. Don't try to decide that fact. If it were really that free, there wouldn't be a 24-hour nursing staff, and you wouldn't make a hospital being nearby a selling point. Of course, that's only if you want to go. I mean, your mother and I really want you to go. We've been waiting for you to get out of the house for years, but we're not really able to homeschool you. We went out there and had a look a couple of weeks back. I think you'd like it. Looks like I really don't have a choice. Compared to other heart problems, people with your condition usually tend to live long lives. You'll need a job one day, and this is a good opportunity to continue your education. This isn't an opportunity. Don't call it an opportunity. Don't call it a goddamn opportunity. The doctor could tell that my heart wasn't in it. Get it? Well, you should be excited at the chance to go back to school. I remember you wanted to return to school, and while it's not the same one, a special school, that's an insult. That's what I want to say. It's a step down. It's not what you think. All the students there are pretty active in their own sort of sexual way. It's geared towards students that can still get around and learn, but just need a little help in one way or another. Your father's right. Many of the graduates of the school have gone on to do amazing things. One of them walked yesterday. A person doesn't have to be held back by their disability. One of my colleagues in another hospital is a graduate. I don't care. A person doesn't have to be held back by their disability. That's what a disability is. I really hate that something so important was decided for me. But what can I do about it? And normal life is out of the question now. Oh, he's now starting to realize what disabled people feel like. Oh, I understand his arc. It's funny, I've always thought my life was actually kind of boring, but now I miss it. I want to protest. I want to blame this lack of reaction on shock or fatigue. I could easily yell out something now, something about how I can go back to school anyway. But no, I don't say anything. The fact is, I know now it's futile. I look around the room, feeling very tired of all of this. I'm doing the same thing right now, Hisao. The hospital, doctors, my condition, everything. I don't see anything that would make me feel any different. There really isn't a choice. I know this, but the thought of going to a disabled school, what are those even like? As much as I try to put a positive spin on this, it's very difficult. But let me try. A clean slate isn't a bad thing. That's all I can think of to get me through this. At least I still have something, even if it's a special school or something. It's something. It's a fresh start and my life isn't over. It would be a mistake to just resign myself to thinking that. At the very least, I'll try to see what my new life will look like. The gate looked far too pompous for what it was. It's a pompous gate. It's the exact right amount of pompous for what it is. In fact, gates in general seem to do that, but this one especially so. Gate Simulator 2012. That's what this game is. Red bricks, black wrought iron, and grape. It is! He's talking about the gate still! Assembled into a hole that didn't feel welcoming at all. I wondered if it looked like what a gate for a school should look like, and couldn't really decide. Probably no. Of course, I didn't want to get stuck thinking about the gate for too long, so I entered it with a brisk pace that felt surprisingly good. Alright, that could have been done in like one sentence. This thing is too... Please. Please become more brief. Moving forward feels good. So I walk towards the main building of Yamaku Academy. Is it Yamaku? Whatever. With this brisk pace. I'm alone as my parents are taking my stuff to the dorms. There's supposed to be someone waiting for me. The grounds are incredibly lush, filled with green. Doesn't feel like the kind of grounds a school would have. More like a park, with a clean walkway going past trees, the smell of fresh-cut grass and all other park things. You know, for a disabled school, these stairs look pretty non-accessible by wheelchairs. That's all I'm going to say. Words like clean and hygienic pop into my mind. It makes me shudder. I shake them off, like Taylor Swift always said. Stay open-minded now. It's your new life. You have to take it as it comes. That's what I tell myself. A few big buildings loom behind the leafy canopies. Too big and too many for just a school. Too many trees for just a school. I don't even know what that is meant to mean. Everything seems off. It's different from what I thought I knew about schools. It's an uncanny valley. Even though I was told this was my new school, in the back of my head it doesn't feel like one. It's not what uncanny valley means. I wonder if the feeling is real or caused by my expectations of a school for the disabled. Speaking of that, I don't see anyone else here. It's kind of eerie. Maybe the school is disabled because it has no students. It makes me wish there was someone here I could anchor myself to, so I could anchor myself to something tangible instead of having this feeling that I stepped into another dimension. The trees hum with the wind and the green hues flashing around me catch my attention. It makes me think about hospitals again. How they say the operating rooms are painted green because green is a calming colour. So why am I feeling so anxious despite all this greenery? Because you're autistic, Hisar. Only after I stand in front of the haughty main building I surprise myself by realizing why the gate bothered me. He's talking about the gate again! It was the last chance I had to turn back, even if I had no life I could return to. But still, after entering, there was absolutely no way I could go back anymore. Why? Why not? Just turn around. Feeling nervous, and with this realization set in my head, I open the front door. That is the most wheelchair accessible thing I've ever seen. A tall man with bad posture notices me as I enter. We're the only people in the lobby, so it's only logical. Tall man, you must be Nakai. So you are, excellent. I'm your homeroom and science teacher. My name is Mufasa. Welcome. We exchange a handshake that is neither firm nor sloppy. Can we just take a moment to realize that that was something someone wrote down and someone edited and proofread and still thought that that was an acceptable thing to say? We'll just take a moment there. Alright, moving on. He looks at his watch. The head nurse asked you for a brief check-in visit, but there's no time for that now. Oh, should I go later? Yes, afternoon is probably fine. We should get going and introduce you to the rest of the class. They're waiting already. Waiting for me? I don't really like being the center of attention, but I guess it's inevitable in a situation like this. Somehow, not knowing what he's waiting for me makes me feel really nervous. Thinking of this, I almost missed what the teacher was saying. Do you want to introduce yourself to the class? Choice! Why? Why, do I have to? Of course not, that's why I asked. That's not what I wanted by why, I wanted more information, not a no. Right. Let's go then. Alright. My heart is pounding in my chest and it keeps me thinking about my condition as I follow the teacher up the stairs. Oh no, will me saying why make me come across as not very confident? And so one of the girls who like confident guys, suddenly now she's closed off to me or something? The third door down the third floor corridor is marked as the classroom for class 33, which would be the 3-3, or 3-3, 3-3. Mufasa opens the door and enters. What the fuck is that painting? Holy shit. That's funny. Good morning, everyone. Sorry I'm late again, Mufasa says. I hesitate for a split second at the door, freezing on the spot. Get a grip. This is a big step. I know that, but there isn't any point to worrying so much about it. At least not this soon. I follow the teacher into the classroom and look around, partially so I won't have to meet the curious gazes of my new classmates. Let's look. Okay. It's pretty spacious. The ceiling is unusually high and there's lots of space left over around and in between the desks. It's so all the cripples can get around, dude. An entire wall taken up by blackboards and the high, old-fashioned windows only make it seem larger. The students' desks are just standard wooden desks with a shelf underneath for books and wooden chairs with metal frames. Simple and efficient. I stop walking in front of the classroom and face the other students. They all look normal, like students in any other school. But then, why would they be here? They're probably like me. There's something wrong with them. And only it's not just immediately obvious. Then I notice that one of the girls seems to be missing the thumb of her right hand. It's a little jarring. Despite the natural tendency to listen when someone's talking about you, I tune out the teacher's speech halfway through while he introduces me to the class. John, what are you doing in this van? Get out. What is with her hair? She's the Pokemon, the drill Pokemon? That's her. I notice a flash of dark hair and see that someone is looking at me. A girl with really long, straight hair that is pretty eye-catching. As she sees me looking back at her, she covers her face with her hands, as if it will make her invisible. Which one is she talking about? There's one boy with a cane leaning against the lockers at the rear of the class. It's weird seeing someone so young with a cane. Another girl seems to be making some weird hand motions. Sign language? She peers at me over the rims of her glasses, then goes back to whatever she's doing. She's kinda cute. So is the cheery looking girl with pink hair sitting next to her. She's really hard to miss. I don't know how I didn't notice her the moment I walked in. You did just walk in. Mufasa says, please welcome our newest classmate. He claps his hands, so does everyone else, except for one girl in the first row who has no hands. I cringe a little. Yeah, me too, but hide it by bowing in thanks for this applause I did not deserve. After the applause, there is a brief silence that nobody seems to want to be responsible for breaking. The teacher soon realizes that he should probably say something. He opens up with some unintelligible noise, shuts up as he loses his momentum, and then starts introducing me. Nobody seems to be too interested. Maybe I should have said yes to the self-introduction thing. Probably realizing he doesn't know anything about me, he just ends up saying my name wrong again and asks me to write it on the blackboard. I do that, then turn to face the class, feeling awkward. I listen to the teacher as he drones about getting along while letting my gaze sweep across the classroom. Everyone seems to be listening to him intently, and when he's done, they clap their hands again, which feels like a weird thing to do. The front row girl claps on this round with her one hand against her other wrist, then ends in a bandaged stump. Shit, that's funny. It makes me feel a little bad. Oh, shit. We're going to be doing some group work today, so that'll give you a chance to talk with everyone. Is that okay with you? Yeah, it's fine with me. That's good. You can work with Hakamaka Moki Tamagotchi. That's good. You can work with Tamagotchi. She's the class representative. She can explain anything you might want to know, and who else would be able to do that better, right? How could I know? The teacher passes out the day's assignments and announces that we'll be working in groups of 3. It hits me that I don't know who Tamagotchi is. Slow, the teacher seems to catch my helpless expression. Oh, right, Tamagotchi's right there. Shizune Tamagotchi. As she calls out her name, the cute bubbly-looking girl with bright pink hair and gold eyes waves her hands at me. I take a seat at her, careful not to get my hand in the way of her drills. Hey, I guess you're Tamagotchi, right? It's nice to meet you. Ha ha ha! What? Why is that little thing above the tab? What's it called? Tilde. Why is the tilde there? Why did you just... That triggers me. What? I'm caught off guard by her laughter. It's nice to meet you too, but... Oh, if this is an ongoing thing... Oh, I'm not playing this for long. Why did this cross out? Oh, it's nice to meet you too, but I'm not Tamagotchi, I'm Misha. This is Tamagotchi. Shikan. Shikan? Isn't Shikan the guy who gropes girls on the subway? Giggling, Misha points to the girl next to her, the one I saw using sign language before. Looks like she's been staring at me this whole time. She nods once nonchalantly to show she acknowledges my presence, but only barely. She has short yet carefully, neatly brushed hair, a pair of oval-shaped glasses balanced on the tip of her dainty nose, and dark blue eyes that seem to alternate every few seconds between analytical and slightly bored. You know who else is analytical and slightly bored right now? It's nice to meet you. What was that? She immediately looks at Misha, who smiles and makes a few quick gestures with her hands. Tamagotchi nods and makes a few gestures of her own. I start to wonder if the teacher was messing with me, saying things like, "You'll be able to talk to people," and "Who better to explain things to you?" I can see you're a little confused, right? Right? Really? Right? Question mark, comma, right? Is this why you're making me do this, Harry? Because of the fucking punctuation? But I understand why you would think I was Shikan or Shikan, whatever. Shikan is deaf. Is it Shi-chan or Shikan? I keep saying Shikan, but that makes me think of the subway guy. So I'm the person who translates things back and forth for her. I'm like an interpreter. She says it's nice to meet you too. You're the new student, aren't you? Well, I'll just go with it. Call us Subway. Well, Subway, of course he is. If he wasn't, he would have been standing up there for no reason, right? Right? Misha looks at me with a weird expression, then continues. We don't know much about him, but maybe we'll find out later. Maybe I should have introduced myself after all. Anything would have given a better first impression than the teacher's drone and fumbling with my name. We knew there was going to be a new student, but we didn't know you'd be here today. So soon. Right? Yes! That's quite enough of that. I cannot deal.